Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
That's right. It's another episode of Music Gear Talk, powered by the mighty Talk Radio, where you can connect to all things music. And we're connecting to a very musical gentleman today. We have Mr. Rob Dillon of SMASHMouse, USA.com. Don't start singing that song from Shrek. But hey, we're definitely happy to have you here, Rob. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Very excited to talk with you and have an opportunity to interact with you and your audience.
Yes, it's going to be a great time here today, and we're going to have you here for half an hour. So you're on lockdown, man. So that's cool.
Ready?
So, you guys seem like you let's just jump right into it, man. Mm-hmm. You guys created a pretty revolutionizing way to do some foot control. Let's talk a little bit about the product. Usually on this segment, we usually start off with, how'd you get it started? But since your product's so unique, I want to kind of give the listeners a scope of what it is, and then let's kind of jump into how it all began.
Very cool. You used a word I like to use, which is, we're looking to revolutionize hands-free control. Simply put, pretty much every instrument takes two hands to play, right? So more and more musicians are using technology to learn, play, perform, and record. So there's a disconnect. If I've got my hands on my instrument, how am I controlling my device? How am I controlling my software? And so what we identified early on was there weren't a lot of products solving that problem, or if they were solving a problem, it was very much kind of one problem. So SMASHMouse basically starts as a foot mouse, fully functioning. You just rotate your ankle very instinctively and ergonomically on our platform, move your pointer around, and you smash it in the center for left click functionality, hence the name SMASHMouse. You can then do right click as well. But when I first started talking to musicians, the feedback was, wow, that's very cool. It's certainly better than any other foot mouse I've seen. But, is it really easier for me to move the pointer from play to rewind or stop or record? And I was like, okay, any entrepreneur, you take the feedback and you figure out how to solve that. So we basically made it multimodal and added a one-click functionality. So if the users go to SMASHMouseUSA.com, they'll pretty quickly see some images of the pedal. And if you click left, it's rewind, right is fast forward, down is stop, up is record, and if you smash it in the middle, that's your play pause. So, now you have one kick command of your playback toolbar. But what really is exciting about the product, Florentino, and where we really decided to leap into this opportunity is because we made it multimodal, where you can click the lower left button and go from mouse mode to playback mode. Because we put a microprocessor in it, we realized we can provide universal digital control. So it can act as any sort of XY type axis movement. So that's your mouse movement, up, down, left, right. That's a joystick in gaming, for example. We can do the one-click command. So we're able to basically, in the gaming world, for example, you can custom bind a shortcut where if you kick left, it does a keyboard shortcut that you want it to do. And then also in music, there's the expression capability. So we can do what I call multi-dimensional expression. So up, down is an expression. So down the road, we're working to add MIDI protocol. So you could, program up, down to be a synthesized effect, MIDI effect. You could do left, right, and you could even do the two diagonals. So now you have four dimensions that you could control at one time. But here's the one that really gets musicians excited, is what we call omnidirectional MIDI expression. So imagine taking a Chaos Pad type DJ device, and putting it in SMASHMouse, where now you can have your X axis, your up, down, be flange, your right and left axis be phaser, and now you basically have that 360-degree control like a Chaos type DJ pad, where now a guitarist or musician can actually play their instrument and control MIDI expression, do that type of DJ synthesization without having to only do it in a sustain mode, which is what pretty much all the other products out there offer you the ability to do. You have to stop playing guitar to synthesize the effect. So really, as I said, we're trying to revolutionize hands-free control, and we're trying to allow musicians to kick it to click it so they can keep on playing and pursue their passion.
Very cool, man. I'm looking at this, and definitely I'm looking forward to checking it out at NAMM. That is going to be a very, I think, an impactful device over there. I think a lot of people, we're used to, right, left buttons on these pedals that we've seen come out as of late, and this is very cool. In fact, I encourage everybody to go to SmashMouseUSA.com. That's SmashMouseUSA.com. And check out how it works. In fact, you have a nice little link that says how it works, and it kind of tells you and shows you everything. And you got a lot of good videos on there. So that,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's very cool. So with that said, folks, while you're there, if you got a computer, you got your phone, and you're listening, check that out. And we're going to talk a bit about how this all got started and who thought of this crazy thing. And I'm assuming gamers and a bunch of other people are using it as well.
Well, that's the plan down the road. Now, I mean, so, just to update some folks on a couple things. One, we will be at NAMM. Look forward to seeing everyone out there. We'll be at booth 10700, so 10700. We'll be doing demos of the product. We're actually just kind of coming to market. We're taking advantage of NAMM to launch the product, if you will. We're actually going to be kicking off a Kickstarter campaign to help us get manufactured and to market. We have the fully functioning prototype. We have all the software in play to start developing. It's just a matter of getting over that first hurdle. We actually went to NAMM last year, and USA Today named us one of the 7 coolest things at the show. So that was kind of my market validation trip. Nice. Yeah, so NAMM is a great organization, a great show. I've really enjoyed it. But to answer your question, it's my idea. The irony here, Florentino, is I'm a pretty crappy musician. I'm a hack guitar player, and the idea came about. Kind of funny story is about 7-8 years ago. I would go to my friends' houses and play guitar and stay out too late and do those type of things that we do as musicians, having fun and creating. And my wife at the time, we had 2 kids under 2. And so I came down for Christmas one morning, and there was a guitar. And that was my lovely bride's not so subtle way of saying, why don't you stay home and learn to play guitar? And so, like most people nowadays, when you look to play guitar, like when I grew up, it was Mel Bay and a book, and you took some lessons, Blues 101, and you did your thing. But nowadays with technology, everyone was like, just go find tab online. I can't read music, so I just find my tab online and get a digital copy. I play along on my iTunes or other multimedia player. And the biggest thing I think is using YouTube. That's a huge trend now, or other online music lessons, is people are able to learn at home and follow along. But again, if I'm watching a YouTube video, or I was watching YouTube videos, and I messed up and I had to rewind, I got to take my guitar off, my hand off the guitar to hit rewind, right?
Yeah.
And even just, I was always just frustrated with just, punching in, as they call it, like doing the 4 count to play along with, Dead Flowers by Rolling Stones was one of the first songs I learned. And I'm, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're hitting the space bar and you're trying to get your hand back on the guitar as fast as you can. And I was like, this just doesn't make sense. There's got to be a better way to do this. So, instantly I just think, well, I'll get a foot mouse, and I Google foot mouse. And if listeners do it and you do images, it's kind of funny, because one of the first things you'll see is a flip flop that somebody cut out and put hardware in, and they called it a foot mouse. And so needless to say, I was like, that doesn't seem very effective. And so I've got an entrepreneurial background. I've got engineering in my blood. I'm not by any means an engineer, but I thought I had a better way to do it. I thought I had a better way to build a mouse. And so I got with some companies in 2015. I'm here in Atlanta,
Georgia.
Georgia.
I tell you, it's a trap.
It is. It is a trap, man, no doubt. And I'm going down the hole every day, but loving the journey. And so it was just my idea. And thankfully, I found some people who could help me, who knew more than I did about how to build something. I had an idea. You'll see on our Kickstarter page when it launches next week, there's actually the original drawing that I did with my daughter of what I envision this thing being. And it's not too different from what you see today. So simply put, Florentino, it was I saw a problem that all musicians had with playing and technology, and I just thought there was a better way to do it. And thankfully, people are starting to agree with us.
Well, very cool. So, just from a personal level, where were you? What were you doing? Since you, as you mentioned, you were basically just learning to play guitar, and a lot of people are musicians that obviously are in this industry. But for you, like you said, you really seen the need for someone who was just kind of getting started in the learning process. What were you doing before that?
As far as music or professionally?
Just professionally, yeah.
Yeah, so I spent most of my career in media. I sold TV and internet ad time for Turner Broadcasting.
Okay.
And then I kind of left that world and did a variety of entrepreneurial endeavors. But I've always been mostly in some way working with startups, working with young companies mostly I'm a biz dev guy. So
okay.
I think you know that world as well. So
yeah,
it was,
that's where I came from. Yeah.
Exactly. So as I joke, here in the Atlanta startup ecosystem, for example, you've got all these brilliant minds, the geeks, as I call them, who come up with these great products and great ideas, but they can't sell a heater to an Eskimo. They just don't understand that concept. Right. So I've kind of always been doing that. And so I was fortunate to be in that ecosystem and to understand startups and being entrepreneur. And, that obviously prepared me very well because, it was a matter of just, okay, here's a problem. How do we find a solution? But then more importantly, how do we bring that solution to life? And that, crowdfunding is a solution for that, but it's still a challenging path. And that's been the exciting part of the journey is overcoming those hurdles of getting a product to market. And again, I'm fortunate to be targeting the music industry first. As you alluded to, there's gaming, there's medical, there's manufacturing, there's all these other things we can do, but it really comes from music, right? That's the passion. Yeah, exactly. And musicians, as you know, are very brand loyal. Yep. Gibson, Fender, they support who they love. But they're also musicians I've found to be very creatively, they're a creative community. Right. It's all about sharing ideas. And there's not this sense like in the startup world sometimes of, this is my intellectual property and you can't touch it.
Yeah, no, I tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. No, I've been there before.
Yeah.
I worked at Microsoft for many years. So
did you?
Yeah.
I didn't see that on the old profile. Interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that one day at NAMM. But so the music community has been helpful. And that's really what's been key. I mean, talking to people who know more than I do about how MIDI is used and what, again, I'm just learning to play, but really SMASHMouse, our vision is as a universal pedal, you buy the SMASHMouse today, it comes with mouse and playback. But what's really cool is we are going to be able to allow you to download low cost apps. So, one of the first products we'll come out with is Page Turn. So now you can, for probably $19.99 or less, you'll be able to download a Page Turn app that will work universally with Windows and Mac and eventually with the various iOS platforms out there. We'll work with those entities to make it do that.
Yeah.
And then we can add, MIDI protocol. We can add, the DJ type effects that I talk about. We can add DAW because the pro audio space is another area where we've, kind of unexpectedly getting tremendous support from people saying, hey, in the studio, there's what I talk about with SMASHMouse is there's so many times we have two hands or one hand working on a task, and yet we're trying to control a digital device.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to interrupt you here because we got that flashing light at us. We got about a minute left in the segment.
Okay.
We've been giving people some really good insight into your product. Let's give the URLs again. I'm going to give the SmashMouseUSA.com, SMASHMOUSEUSA.com. Tell us about the Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff.
Pretty much all of our social media is the same, SmashMouse USA. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you can go to all those. We are on YouTube, although I believe you can go to SmashMouse, but I believe it's SmashMouse USA on YouTube as well. So we've tried to keep that consistent and easy for folks to find us, and we're getting more and more active with all that stuff, getting some good feedback on our blogs and whatnot. I appreciate you sharing the word there.
Yeah. We'll be right back in a few short minutes, folks. We've been talking with Rob Dillon of SmashMouse US, and we'll be right back.
Are Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
We are back into it. This is Music Gear Talk on Intertalk Radio, where you can connect to all things music, and we're connecting to our good friends over at SMASHMouse right now. Before we get back into it, we do need to pay a few bills. We have our incredible sponsor, Pitbull Audio, at pitbullaudio.com. We just did a big broadcast with Sabian last night for the Jackie Bertoni show, Jackie's Groove. And we had Andy Zildjian here in the station, and it was pretty awesome. And we really appreciate those guys over at Sabian. And with Pitbull Audio, I also want to let people know, stay tuned. Check out our Intertalk Radio page on Facebook or Pitbull Audio's page on Facebook. We're going to be doing the NAMM Celebration contest where we're giving away just tons of gear. We've got companies like Sabian, we've got Mission Engineering, we've got Black Star Amps. The list is endless, and it would take up the whole show if I gave everybody that's involved in that. But for 2 months, we're giving away just collections of gear each week. So the best way to put it, guys. So make sure you check out our pages. You'll be able to sign up. Actually launches on March 1st, but we're letting everybody know right now because the demand's going to be crazy. And you want to get your stuff in early because you'll get a chance every week to win something. So. And with that said, we're talking with Mr. Rob Dillon. I was going to say Dylan Rob, but Rob Dillon.
Yeah, like Bob Dylan, man.
Yeah.
I got the name, but not the talent.
Well, you got the vision, man. That's probably more important these days. And we were kind of talking about that. We've been talking about this great mouse pedal, that you've come up with. And I'm looking at this, man, and I know my producer here, Paul, he is just he's salivating over this.
Yeah, my face lit up when you were talking about trying to play along to YouTube, because that drives me crazy all the time. Trying to constantly track back while picking out some part, it drives me insane. And
I hear you, Paul, and I think the idea is again, recording and playing along and just think of the one-man band. Trying to perform up there with his guitar and all his backup digital technology. I mean, we really want to empower that person to stay focused on their music and not be messing with all the other stuff. So, I mean, you guys are nailing it. And by the way, just quick shout out to your sponsor, Pitbull Audio. Great site. Know those guys. Actually hoping maybe Florentino, at some point, you can get me a little contact with those guys so we can get our product in there.
For sure, yeah. When you guys are ready to launch, once this Kickstarter goes off, we would love to get you in there. We're all like family, so I mean, we love those guys, Calvin and Adam and the rest of the folks. Eric is part of the EnterTalk. Eric's their product specialist. He's part of the EnterTalk crew over here. He does a show with us called Sharpen the Axe. Shameless plug there for that show. So
do it.
And then for Paul, anytime we can get him to take the focus off his hands, because his hands get him in trouble. He's a guitar player.
I'm just gonna give up. I can still run the show, and I can also pursue my lifelong dream of juggling.
So there we go.
There you go. We haven't had anyone use SMASHMouse for juggling improvement, so I like it. You're broadening our horizons, Paul.
I can really multitask with it.
He thinks out of the box,
I love it. But yeah, I mean, that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
Thinking outside the box is what got you and your group of stations to where you are, right?
Exactly, and I think that's the big thing. We were talking in the break about the industry and challenges and all those fun things, and and it's so challenging to be a musician and start a new product and an industry that's a bit uncertain. So I want to kind of throw that out to you, Rob. When you started this project, what were some of the obstacles that you thought you would have, and what are the obstacles now? Because those dynamics change. We found that with us. We found that we thought certain things were going to be easy peasy, and they were not. And then the things that we thought were going to be the most difficult were a bit more of a challenge. I mean, we're less difficult. We're a bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, no, and you nailed it. And it is fluid. Again, I'm fortunate to kind of come from a little bit of an entrepreneurial background and have a little understanding of that. But for me, it's interesting. I think just big picture. A lot of your listeners probably, when I was a kid and when my parents grew up, it was you work in a corporation for X number of years, you get a pension. I mean, that world doesn't exist anymore.
Not even close.
Not even close. And I mean, certainly what's happening in the music industry on the musician side and the other aspects, behind the mic, if you will, as well. More and more you're seeing, especially here in the United States, people are becoming entrepreneurial, whether it's their day job or whether it's a side hustle. And I think we're all learning that's a more popular way to pursue life, to create life balance and to follow passion and to do what we want to do. But it is hard because when you start from scratch, who believes in you, right? How do you can read books about bootstrapping startups. Well, when you're doing a hardware product or when you're doing a media, an online media empire like EnterTalk, how do you get the word out? How do you get started? Yeah,
Empire Talk.
Empire, right? Yeah, there you go. But how do you overcome those first challenges? And I think it's that first year that's always the hardest, and it's where you do get the curveballs. So for me, it was, again, I thought it was just a simple problem with a simple solution. I just need my hands free to play my instrument, to control my computer. Well, there wasn't a foot mouse that really allowed me to do that. And there certainly wasn't one that allowed me to have a universal pedal like SMASHMouse that could do multiple types of needs.
Yeah.
Certainly guitarists are used to having a bunch of different pedals for effects, but now guitarists are having to have multi-effects pedals and backup beat pedals and page turning pedals. And, you only got 2 feet and 2 hands, right? So I think we want to give people the opportunity to be universal. So, and the biggest challenge for me, quite frankly, Florentino, was just, I call it the hardware conundrum. How do you build a product and get it to market when it costs money to do that, but you can't sell the product until you build it? Right? Chicken or the egg. So really that's the last 2 years. That's been my biggest focus is just, I have a dream. I have a product that I've validated, if you will, with hundreds of thousands of people saying that is so cool. And people like Paul saying instantly, I see that solving a problem. But how do I actually create it for them? And how do I get the money to do that? That's been the hardest part. And just convincing others that, what they call pre-revenue, or with you, it's kind of pre-audience, if you will. I'm not reaching a million streams right now, but I guarantee you they're out there if you can help me get it out there, right? So it's the, tree falls in the forest. Florentino's talking to the web and no one's listening. It's not that no one's listening, it's that you don't have a platform to get it out there. So that's the biggest challenge. And I think you can relate to that.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, one of the things I think is both our verticals have in common is we were a vertical that wasn't around, Intertalk Radio. There were a number of podcasts and people talking about the industry, but as a network, there wasn't any one network that you can go to as a musician and go to any one of those shows and there's something relevant for you. You would, we started off on WS Radio and we started off with one show, and it's still our sister company right next door to us. And, and that was great. But when, you had Rosie's, quilting show before yours, you weren't getting any rollover audience.
In the industry term, that's not a good lead in there.
No, it was not at all. And then we realized that we had all these great musicians that we can, bring on board, and they would be able to talk to their friends, and people would listen to the behind the scenes conversations, and that was good. But we realized that because we were not. There was no other companies you could point to, and there was no pathways you can go to. Obviously, there were radio networks, and there were other media companies, and there were some similarities. But it was our own vertical, much like yourself. This is revolutionary. We talked about that, and this is a pedal that is in its, it's its own category. Yeah, there's a couple of other pedals out there that do some things that this one does, but the fact that it is, you can. It's so, you use the word fluid. It's fluid within any of the activities that you do. I think that's very cool. And how have you seen the industry as a whole look at this new vertical that you're building out?
Yeah. And so, it's funny just real quick, when you talk about all this media stuff, again, that's kind of my background. So I know what you did there in creating a new thing. And I think, like you said, we have the same thing where, it's all about identifying a problem, right? Like, what's the problem? And sometimes we don't even realize it's a problem because we just kind of go through life doing it the same old. And you were fortunate enough to be visionary enough to say, well, wait a minute, I don't want to go find 800 different podcasts. I want to have one central location to do that. And I applaud you for doing that. And I think every listener out there who wants to do something creative or entrepreneurial, that's the first thing is what's the problem? Yeah. And so for us to create this universal pedal that I kind of compare to the smartphone, right? Like, you buy the phone and then you download all these apps. I mean, that's basically what we're trying to build here with SMASHMouse. And, to answer your question, again, overwhelmingly positive support from the industry, because, again, I think it's the nature of the industry to be creatively supportive in a lot of ways. And I think that helps. But certainly when you offer a musician a way to pursue their passion better than they've done it, they're going to take interest, right? They're going to say, hey, you can help me. I'm interested. And so that's been the biggest thing for us, is just kind of saying, okay, industry, just because you've always kind of done it one way doesn't mean it has to be done that way. Here's something we want to offer you as a new way to do it. And candidly, I've been overwhelmed. Like, I never envisioned what we are here in January of 2018, 4 or 5 years ago when I started kind of creating this thing. I envisioned, hey, I can move my mouse around and I can maybe control playback. If it wasn't for the music industry coming to me, reaching out to me, people like Mike Metley at Recording Magazine and Dave Malkapour at Pro Audio Solutions come and saying, hey, dude, you got something that can help people in a way that you're not even aware of. Here's how.
Yeah.
That enabled me to create a product that solved problems that I wasn't looking to solve.
That's awesome. Hey, Rob, we've got 2 minutes left in this episode, and let's kind of go back, and what are some of the key takeaways from this, and what are some of the things that your Kickstarter campaign is going to offer people as they engage with it?
Yeah. So again, SmashMouseUSA.com. So you can go on there. You can sign up for our insider email. Keep track. We're looking to launch the Kickstarter campaign next week in conjunction with NAMM. The best thing about it is the units will start at $80. So that's a pretty affordable cost for a product like this. Full mouse and playback functionality, Windows, Mac OS compatibility, USB and Bluetooth connectivity. So you can step away from your computer and play in a 12-hour battery life. When we go to market, it'll be $149.99 MSRP. So you're literally getting about half off. So really would love the support of the Intertalk universe. Really appreciate you, Florentino, reaching out and giving us an opportunity to communicate with you guys. And I look forward to working with you more. I think we're both entrepreneurs who are looking to help other people. And at the end of the day, I think that's what satisfies us. So thanks for letting us do that.
Oh, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. And thank you for joining us here today and you've got an open invitation. When you guys start to really move on that Kickstarter campaign, we'll definitely do what we can to help that out. And we're going to obviously put all these links on our archive page. So, folks, if you didn't get the whole interview, we will be archiving this. And I'm getting that message here from Paul. Thanks for tuning in to Music Gear Talk. My name is Florentino, and we've been talking with Rob Dillon. Check out SmashMouseUSA.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be the music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?